Hello and welcome to Football Night in New York. I'm Jeane Coakley alongside Jonas Schwartz. We've got Ralph Vacchiano and we have Eamon McAnaney joining us this week. All right, guys, we got to talk about Jamal Adams because this saga isn't going away. You know, he requested a trade. This past week, he went on social media and pretty much said goodbye to Marcus May. Greg Williams said Adams is a really, really good player. He has his back and he thinks the world of him. So, Ralph, with all that being said, what is Jamal Adams' value?
Well, to the Jets, it's high. I mean, you're talking about a star player, maybe their best defensive player, maybe their most influential player in the locker room, who is also under contract for another 2 years, and they have control after that for the franchise tag for another year or two. So to them, it's not the kind of player you give away. He's not a player that they know is at the end of his contract or has been a problem on the field or off the field until now. They love him. They want him to be a Jet for life. What's his value to everyone else is a really interesting question, because in order to get Jamal Adams, you not only have to sign him to a deal that might be worth $100 million, you're going to have to trade something to the Jets, and they're going to be looking for a first-round pick plus, which is what they were looking for at the trading deadline. So I don't know that there are a lot of teams around the league that would be willing to do that, and that diminishes his value to other teams.
Jonas, I know this is your Jets fan. You love Jamal Adams. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, a couple things here. Number one, Jamal Adams, it's nice to know that you're willing to not take the contract as long as you go to the Cowboys. Then you can wait for can't wait here, but you can wait there. Nice to know that. A big misstep by you in this respect. Secondly, as far as the Jets go, and Jeane, you mentioned it with Greg Williams, this is, I think, how the Jets are going to bring Jamal back in the fold here, because they want to keep him, and they should. A 1 and a 3 does not get it done for me for giving up an incredible player like Jamal Adams. I would want something nobody is going to give you, because that's how great he can be for the Jets. I want a 1, I want 2 2s, and I want a starting player. And nobody in their right mind will give that to you for a safety, no matter how great Jamal Adams is. But he is a guy that means a lot to the Jets. You have all the leverage, and you shouldn't just give away a supreme talent like this, Eamon, because of this situation.
No, but Jonas, you're asking for a little too much. You're asking for a king's ransom, 3 picks and a player.
Yes.
You don't want to trade him. I get it.
No.
I completely get it. You don't want to trade him. The Jets don't want to trade him. And Jamal Adams, even if the Jets did want to trade him, is making life tougher by obviously taking away any leverage the Jets have, because the other teams will think they'll have to trade him. And here's the other thing. The teams he wants to go to, for the most part, are really good teams. So that first-round pick is not going to be the 6th overall pick like he is. But I think if I was the Jets and I decided that we have to have a divorce and we have to trade him, I'm going to ask for a first-round pick and 2 second-round picks, like Ralph mentioned, the deal that they were looking for at the trade deadline. If I can't get that, then I'm going to hold on to him. I agree with Jonas completely that I'm not giving him away. But I think Jonas is asking for a little too much for 3 picks and a player, Jeane.
It's just so interesting because, like you all said, he's still under contract. He's not going to be able to get out of it. All right, time now for what are the odds? And as we just talked about, Jamal wants a trade. So if Jamal gets his way, what teams have the best chance of trading for him? The Cowboys, a plus 250. The team he wants to go to, they have the best chance. So if you bet $100, you're going to win $250. Jamal did like a picture of himself in an Eagles jersey. The Eagles are at a plus 800 and being reunited with Todd Bowles in Tampa Bay, plus 1,800. Okay, guys, realistically, say Jamal gets his way. Where is the best spot for Jamal to land?
I would say anywhere but Dallas, because I think unless Dallas blows you out of the water with the offer, I would say anywhere but Dallas, for the simple reason of the fact that you don't want to give in to him. If this gets to that point and you're Joe Douglas, unless the offer is better, there's no way you could send him to Dallas, because you are sending a message to the rest of your team: stomp your feet and you go wherever you want. So you start thinking, where does Joe Douglas have history? Baltimore, Philadelphia, and maybe he does somebody a favor or they work out a sweetheart of a deal. The only problem, and the only, where I see it, is salary cap space for these teams. And they're going to have to pay him eventually. And that's where Tampa makes some sense, because how long can Tom Brady keep going? So they will have some form of salary cap relief going on in the future, Eamon, once Tom Brady retires. And yeah, there's the Todd Bowles thing there. So that to me might make some sense. And if you're the Jets, you don't have to deal with him very often if he's in Tampa.
Obviously, he would love going to Tampa Bay to be reunited with Todd Bowles and make a chance at a run at the Super Bowl with Tom Brady there. But I think the logical place he's going to end up is Baltimore. I think they know they're in the same conference with Patrick Mahomes. So even though their star quarterback is very young, also they need to get better than the Kansas City Chiefs, and they need to find a way to stop Patrick Mahomes, and having one of the best defensive players on your team to join an already solid team would make Baltimore think about doing something that is sort of out of their DNA to make a big deal. They have a lot of starters coming back, so I don't think they'd be that hesitant to give up draft picks. And I think obviously John Harbaugh, defensive-minded coach, and like I said, knows that he has talent. They were the #1 seed overall, but they're not getting over the hump if they don't figure out a way to stop Patrick Mahomes. And I think Jamal Adams would obviously help that. So I think Baltimore would be more willing than some of these other teams to overpay for Jamal Adams, Ralph.
Yeah, Adams has a list of 8 teams, of course, that he would like to be traded to. Baltimore is one of them. They do make a lot of sense. Someone to replace Earl Thomas, someone to lead their growing defense. Seattle is another one that to me makes a lot of sense. They have a great offense, but their defense has been falling apart in recent years. It's no longer the Legion of Boom. Both of them have enough flexibility in the salary cap to get it done. But the problem to me is that salary cap and the contract. And even if Jamal Adams were to say, you know what, I'm good with my contract, I'll wait a year or wait 2 years or whatever, there is no team in the NFL that is going to give up what the Jets are asking for, or they will be asking for a guy that's not signed long-term. They're not going to take that chance and give up 2 first-round picks to do it. They're going to want him signed, which means they need cap room now and they need cap room in the future. Not a lot of the teams on the 8 that he has on his list have cap room. Some of them, like the Eagles, are projected to be over the cap for next year, and that's an issue. But another big issue for these teams right now, in the middle of this pandemic, facing a season maybe without fans and possibly, according to the union, as much as $3 billion in revenue losses, no one knows what the future financial situation is going to be in the NFL, so no one's going to give him that big contract right now.
All right, well, since we're playing a bunch of hypotheticals, I'm going to make you guys all become Joe Douglas, okay? So, Eamon, you're Joe Douglas. What are you going to do? Are you going to trade him? Are you going to extend his contract? Or you're just going to wait it out and see?
I'm going to wait it out because I have all the leverage. And I think sooner or later, once as we mentioned, sort of his image is taking a hit. I know he's taking Instagram. I know he's a very talkative guy and likes to go on talk radio. But I think once the people know the facts and realize that Khalil Mack didn't get a new deal after 3 years, Aaron Donald didn't get a new deal after 3 years. He's in a tough spot. I understand he's underpaid, but you know what? You play safety. That's probably the 4th most important position on defense behind defensive end, linebacker, cornerback. So I'm going to ride it out. I think once he gets in the building, I don't think he's going to be, affect the team chemistry because I think he's a good team leader and Greg Williams will, straighten him out. I think I'm going to ride it out and have him on my team this season, Jonas.
It's interesting because the fact that Jamal Adams, and it should not get lost in all this, despite, what he sort of, the self-sabotage he's done with Jet fans, is he is a good guy and he's everything you want as a leader on your team, and he's everything you want as a player. So there is a path back here, which is he's got to report to training camp. And then Joe Douglas needs to sit down with him, and Greg Williams needs to sit down with him and go like this. We know you feel like you're not just a safety. We know you feel like you are one of the best defensive players in all of football, and you deserve to be paid like that. And then Joe Douglas needs to follow through at the end of the year and pay him like that if he proves, and I believe he can, if he proves he can be that guy.
So, Jonas, you're saying wait it out as a GM.
Yes, that was a very long wait it out, yeah.
Yeah, and I agree with it. I mean, Jonas, you're talking a lot about soothing Jamal's ego, basically, which the Jets obviously have to do, but there is a long, long history in the NFL and in sports in general of players who will be overreacting to their contract situation in the offseason, a lot of off-season noise, as I've heard general managers refer to it, who then suddenly become team players when they arrive, when people talk to them and talk them through the situation, when advisors get in his ear and say, hey, look, here's what you have to do. So I wouldn't trade him, and I'd stick to my plan of negotiating a deal maybe later this year, maybe next offseason, and everything will work out.
All I know is that you guys are not too bad as GMs. I think you have a future in it. All right, well, that's going to do it for me. I'm Jeane Coakley, Jonas Schwartz, Ralph Vacchiano, Eamon McAnaney. All right, guys, we'll see you next week for Football Night in New York, Living Room Edition.